Hi everyone! We are going to make a paper mache slice of pumpkin pie. So for this project, you're going to need a sheet of thick white paper. You can also use a just panel from a cereal box. It's great cardboard that's easy to cut. But I'm going to use my thick white paper. You need a pencil, scissors, some masking tape, and then paper mache mix, which I will post how to make the paper mache mixture, and just some shredded up either newspaper or any thin paper you can use for that, and a paper plate. This is just a regular paper plate. It's not necessary for this project, but I like it because I can cut a nice round circle for the plate of my pumpkin pie. So to make our pumpkin pie slice, we are going to make a triangle shape that I will cut out. So I want it to be about as long as my hand. And it's almost the size of my hand. That's a good size for my triangle. And I'm going to use my scissors and cut that out. I'm going to use my triangle, this bottom straight edge of my triangle, use that to make the back part of my pie slice. So I want it to be about 1.5 inches away from the edge of my paper or cardboard, whatever you're using. And I'm just going to draw a line that is the same length as the bottom of my slice, and do lines going straight down. So I have a nice rectangle shape that is just as long as this shortest side of my triangle. And cut that out. And now I want to make a side rectangle shape that looks like this, but it needs to be longer, so it's as long as my slice of pumpkin pie. So I'm going to draw in a line, and I want it to be just as wide as my shape that I just cut. And I need to extend it so it's as long as my sides. So I first just traced the sides of this. So I have the width, and now I want to make sure it's as long as the side of my pie slice. So I'm just going to use my pie slice to continue that line. And I'll do the same thing on the other side, continue that line. And I'm going to top it off right there, and then I'm going to cut this out. So now I have this that will fit right on the side of my pie slice. I'm going to cut one more that is exactly the same as this shape. So you can just place it on your paper and trace that out. So now I have two pieces that are the same. You can hold them up against one another, make sure that they're the same length, the same size. I have this one that is a shorter rectangle for the back of my pie, and I have my triangle. So these are all my shapes that I need for my pie. So I'm going to use masking tape, and I want to tape together this shorter rectangle to the base of my pie slice. I'm just putting my pieces right next together and use the masking tape, tape right over those, and make sure that it can bend. So I have my piece on the back. I'm going to do the same thing on each side. taping together the very tip and the corners. So now I have my triangular pie slice. Then I'm going to use a paper plate, and I want to find a good size that I can cut out of a circle for my plate for my pumpkin pie. If you don't have a paper plate, you can use just another piece of cardboard and cut a nice round circle. Just make sure that your pie fits right on that. So if I cut right on this inside edge of my plate, it should be perfect for my pumpkin pie. So that is cut. I'm going to turn it over to use the white side of that, but it doesn't matter if it has color on it. And place your pie. And I'm going to start taping my pie right down to the plate. So now my pumpkin pie slice is taped down to my plate, and I'm going to start paper macheing it. For the paper mache materials, you're going to need just some shredded pieces of newspaper, and I also have my mixture. So this is half a cup of flour, 1 cup of water, and half of a teaspoon of salt. And just mix it all really, really well together. And then we will start dipping in our shredded newspaper pieces into the paper mache mixture and covering our entire pie. Take one piece at a time, dip into your paper mache mix. Make sure to scrape off any excess before you put it right on, and just press it down onto your pumpkin pie slice. Keep repeating until the entire pumpkin pie is covered in paper mache. Make sure to do just one piece at a time. Make sure it's totally covered in the paper mache mix, and that you're pressing it down onto your cardboard structure. For little edges, you can just tuck them right under. And we want to make a little pie crust right here on the edge. So I'm going to take just a few pieces of paper mache, kind of roll it up. Once you have that on there, you can cover right over it and seal those pieces down right onto the rest of the pie. Any little parts that are still sticking up, you can take some small pieces and use that to help push them down. I'm going to make a little bit of whipped cream. So I want to start by taking a big piece of paper, dipping it, and I'm going to ball it up right here in the center. And one more. I don't want my whipped cream too tiny. And once you have that, again, you could take some smaller pieces and dip them in the paper mache mix and use that to seal it down onto the rest of your pie. So we just don't want any flaps of paper sticking up. Everything should be smoothed down. Now we can let that dry overnight and we'll paint it once it's all dry. So now that my paper mache is all dry, I'm going to use some white paint and I'm going to paint in the entire plate with white, but you can choose any colors that you'd like. I just have an assortment of colors here. I'm also going to paint my whipped cream. I'm going to clean my brush off and I'm going to paint in the main part of my pumpkin pie with an orange. So I'm not worried about the crust just yet. And I'm just using a big brush for all these parts so I can quickly get these filled in and then I will work on details. I'm going to go really carefully next to my whipped cream so I don't get any on my whipped cream. And I'm going to paint my sides. I want to be really careful that I keep this off of the plate part. And if you do get paint on the plate or the whipped cream, just let it dry and then you can easily go back and fix. We're not going to paint this back part because that's going to be crust. So I'm cleaning and drying my brush and I'm going to switch to a smaller brush. And I mixed up a brown. If you only have dark brown, you can put some white and yellow in it to make it a lighter brown. We just want a nice crust color. And I'm going to really carefully paint my crust. When I get down to this very bottom edge, I want it to be pretty straight. And same for the sides here. I'm going to do a very thin layer of crust going right along the bottom of my pie. Try and be really careful to keep it off of the plate. Now that the pie is done, I'm gonna add some decorations to my plate. I'm gonna put some little fall leaves around my plate. And that's it for my paper mache pumpkin pie. I hope everyone enjoyed this lesson, and happy Thanksgiving, guys!